Welcome to part 2 of Mod My Lexus CT200H, where I'm going to explain to you why this is one of the best commuter cars out there. If you guys haven't watched part 1, then please go do so. But in part 1, what we did is we lowered this car, put it on 18-inch wheels and tires, and did a simple front lip and spoiler to really change the look and feel of how this thing drives. But for today, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and that is explain why a person like me, a true car enthusiast that has so many sports cars, we work on a ton of really cool high horsepower vehicles here. Why do I drive this vehicle on a daily basis? So let's jump in, go for a ride, and I'll explain why. Okay, Dave, here we are in this spacious, luxurious, premium cabin.
Let's not get carried away here, buddy. It's a Prius. It's a Prius with a leather interior. Come on now. It's actually a really nice car. I like it a lot.
I wouldn't say that, but let's just get into it. Let's start off with the good and why I think this is, man, arguably one of the best commuter cars on the market today that, you know, isn't new per se and that doesn't cost a fortune, right?
Yeah,
These are actually very, very affordable.
Like 10 grand and maybe under even?
Yep, 10 grand and under. You can certainly find them for that.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't really joke around about it being a Prius because it's a lot more car than a Prius. In fact, I'm a little angry about you buying this after I had bought a Prius for my wife because once I tried this, it ruined the Prius for me. It's so much nicer. It rides much sportier.
So much better.
The interior layout is much nicer, more luxurious. And I think, you know, best of all, it has a sportier feel to it. The Prius feels really soft and, you know, it's kind of got like an old lady vibe to it, where this, to me, is actually fun to drive because it feels sporty.
Yeah, it does have that. And really, I think what that stems from is the sport mode that this vehicle has. This vehicle has 3 modes: eco, normal, and then sport mode.
Okay.
And sport mode just wakes this car up in such a tremendous way, whereas the other modes, you do kind of feel like you're almost driving a Prius.
Yeah.
Where it's just like slow, and now I can like step on the gas here.
That's
and
good.
Look at that.
Instant response.
It picks up.
Yeah.
You know, it's certainly not a fast car by any means of the sort.
But when you're just commuting to work, like you're not racing anybody.
No, but you know what? Like if you need to make a pass with it, it does that. It drives at 90 miles per hour, 130, 40 kilometers an hour with a breeze, with no problem.
It's nice and quiet at those speeds too, and comfortable.
Yeah. So I think having that set up with the sport mode helps tremendously because, let's face it, this is a CVT gearbox,
it is,
right?
Yeah. It's one of the better ones though. I don't find it as intrusive as, say, the Nissan ones, for example, or the Hyundai ones. They have this noise and it just feels like you're connected through a rubber band, where this feels more natural somehow.
Sure, 100%. When you're driving down the road, it does feel like it's actually shifting.
It does.
It doesn't have that rubber bandy feel.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. So that
comes down to good tuning on Toyota's part, I guess, and that sport mode, I think, probably changes the feel of it as well a little bit.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. It's certainly, I drive this car consistently in sport mode. I never drive it in eco mode. I find the smidgen that you're giving up in terms of gas mileage, driving it in sport mode is worth it for the driving experience in that sense, right? So,
and speaking of gas mileage, what are you getting in this?
You know, I think I drive a little more aggressive than most people.
Oh, you do?
In this vehicle. So I get around 35 miles per gallon, but these cars can get 40 pretty easily all day long.
I'm sure.
Which is really, really impressive for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing the Prius does do better than this, is it does get significantly better mileage. Because it's lighter, it doesn't have as much sound deadening and as much, like, you know, luxury content as this has. So it is lighter and does
it's constantly in that eco mode.
Exactly.
Probably, right?
I don't think it even has a sport mode, or if it does, I've never tried it.
No, I don't think it does.
You don't get in a Prius thinking about sport mode, but still, that's really good mileage. You did say earlier, though, that you're a little frustrated by the size of the fuel tank. You find it's a little small.
Yeah, that's the one downside to, one of the downsides to this vehicle is that it does have a small gas tank. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's nice because you fuel it up and it's like, oh, here's $20, you know, spent. True. So it's good, but you're fueling up a little more often than I would like. It'd be nice to see, to be able to get, 400 miles out of this, or usually I'm getting around 300 miles or 500 kilometers. So it's it's kind of very average.
Yeah, that's normal for a car of this size.
Yeah, but it would be nicer to feel like you could really take this thing for a longer drive or commute.
You just need to hypermile it, bro. You got hypermile this baby.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried like doing a fuel efficiency run in it?
I haven't.
You just don't have the patience for that?
I don't.
It's too boring?
I don't.
I can never do it either.
You really have to drive so slowly
I know.
to
It's
eke
absurd.
that out
Yeah.
and whatnot. Like if we go into eco mode here,
Okay.
like, see, I'm pushing on the gas right now. We're not
Nothing's
going anywhere.
happening.
Okay, that's about 30%. There's 40, there's 50.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where you start feeling
So
it.
nothing happens till 50%.
Nothing really does happen. Like, let's see. Now we're starting to accelerate. See, it's not going. It's not going.
You feel like you're holding
now,
up traffic?
Look, I'm full throttle now.
Okay.
And that's where it starts moving.
You got to mat it. Yeah.
So it's not great in that sense. And when you're back in sport mode, it's like, look at, and it just starts picking up, and that's your 30% there. Like, look at that.
Yeah, it feels more natural.
It's really starting to move. It gives you that torque, and I think it also provides a lot more battery assist in sport mode, which gives you that feeling of it being such a sporty vehicle.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the batteries, is it does give you instant torque, and it sort of torque fills the power band too.
Yeah.
So it makes the car feel quicker off the line than it should, given how small the motor really is.
Another really awesome thing that I like about this car is it does have an EV mode. Being a hybrid, I can just putt around without the engine. So it is nice for stop and go traffic. When you're clogged up on the highway, the engine's not running. So it's certainly a huge bonus to have. What I don't love about it is how you really have to crawl. See, right now we have to crawl so the engine doesn't turn on.
Right.
If I just be a little bit too aggressive, there you go.
It kicks in,
the engine kicks in.
Yeah.
So the EV mode is somewhat limited,
It's
but
very
it
limited,
is nice to have. Let's show you the sportiness of SDP. We're
Here we
getting
go.
on the highway here.
Now you're talking.
And you can really feel like this thing. It's incredible. Like,
It's got a lot of grip.
Like,
I mean, admittedly, we're on a lot of tire right now too.
But even from the all stock, this car felt pretty.
It does feel sporty.
In the sense
It's
that
got good body control.
Down low and whatnot.
Low center of gravity. Yep.
As you saw there, like we're up to 120 kilometers, which is like 75 miles an hour, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
no, you never feel like you've got a lack of power or a lack of handling in this car.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a Prius.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It feels like a totally different car, and I think a lot of people would never even know that they're underneath that they have so much in common.
Yeah.
So it really does feel like a totally different, and it looks like a totally different car too. I mean, I think it's a really cool looking sporty hatchback.
For sure.
And the mods we did obviously add a fair bit more flash to it, but even bone stock, I think it's a great looking car.
They're certainly, I think, a car you'd feel proud to own.
Yeah.
You don't
feel self-conscious in it, like you're a tree hugger, or people aren't like, get your Prius out of the way here. Like you just feel like a normal guy out in a sporty hatchback.
The disguised Prius.
It is. It really is.
Good about, right?
Yeah, it's a sporty Prius beard, and I do like that about it. And it's also super practical, isn't it? Like, we went with 4 dudes in this to PRI a few years ago.
We most certainly did.
And, I mean, the backseat legroom is a bit tight for adults, but it's not terrible.
And that was a 9-hour drive.
Yeah. And I'm sure we got great fuel economy, but for 4 dudes in this, it really wasn't a bad way to travel.
No.
So, with kids in the back, I'm sure they'd be perfectly fine.
And we haul my daughter around in this thing all the time, and the baby seat fits without an issue.
Yeah.
Again, it's a little cramped, but it fits, no problems with that. The seats fold down, you get a ton of space. Like, I can haul 4 wheels and tires in this thing. You'd be surprised how much stuff.
You fit like 20-inch Porsche stuff in the back recently,
It does fit. So it's certainly a practical vehicle in that sense. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap on this then. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode and got an idea as to why, we both love this vehicle.
Yeah, legitimately.
And if you're if you're commuting, this car to me is such a great choice in that sense. Like, it's cheap on insurance as well. It's great gas mileage. The interior quality,
it's really high quality.
Like, there's really nothing that you're going to complain about.
The seating position is great.
Yeah.
Even this infotainment thing that people like to chirp about, you don't find it to be a problem to operate.
Once you learn how to use this whole mouse setup,
it's a bit weird, but
your phone plugs in, so it's a great car. It's cheap as well.
For the money, it's amazing. It really is.
You can really buy one of these for cheap. I've seen them as low as like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
So,
and to maintain a Toyota is cheap, but the parts are cheap and readily available everywhere. Nothing ever breaks on it. It's very reliable.
Yeah, that's a huge point we didn't cover off, and that is exactly that
Yeah.
these things are uber reliable.
Yep.
You're not going to be worried about maintenance and, you know, repairs and whatnot that are going to cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, thanks again. And if you like this video, certainly think about subscribing. Make sure to click that notification bell so you're getting emails about all the excellent content we're creating. And we'll see you in the next one. Since we ended up shooting this video prior to being able to read a lot of the comments in the previous video, I just wanted to put this segment in here real quick to answer one of the main questions, and that was, has the wheel and tire package reduced your MPG or your gas mileage? And truthfully, I have not seen a significant change. I mean, I'm still hovering between that like 5.9 liters for 100 kilometers to about 6.1. It just depends on you know, the day, and our weather changes constantly here, so it does vary, which is like 40 miles per gallon to probably around 38 miles per gallon. So it's not a significant change, and I think that's because the wheels and tires that I put on, specifically the wheels, are much lighter than the factory setup, and I think that's the trade-out that you're doing is you know, I've added width and diameter, but I've also reduced mass in the wheel itself, and I think that's why it kind of nets out, where a lot of people, you know, I saw in the comments, everybody was really worried that it's going to reduce the gas mileage significantly. I think the only thing you got to worry about with going to a larger wheel and tire package is comfort. There's certainly a level of comfort that gets reduced going to 18s. So I hope that answers your question. The other one was, what's my commute to and from work? Like how far do I have to drive this car every day? And it's about 100 kilometers or 60 miles round trip. And as I mentioned, I find the vehicle to be absolutely perfect for that drive. I never tire of it. And as all the other stuff we just mentioned, it's a great vehicle. So I hope that answers some of your questions. If you have any more, certainly post in the comments and I'll do my best to get to them. One last thing, as you can see, I am on my winter wheel and tire package now. It is getting cold up here in the Great White North of Canada. But believe it or not, I was driving on the highway and a construction sign blew right in front of me. I wasn't able to avoid it and did this. My poor lip, oh no.
This isn't really a great road to talk on either, because it's noisy.
Everything's gone this way.
I mean, those roads over there aren't much better, but this one's really just constant smash, smash, smash. It's annoying.